Hello and welcome. So the point of this video is something other than a let's play because there's a lot of let's plays out there and there's not a lot of guides that show you what to do or what this game really has to offer. Like I think a let's play is all right, if somebody wants to get their toes wet and to try to, you know, experience the questing and stuff, but a let's play doesn't really show like most people playing the let's play doesn't don't stick around. What is in game like, all right? And that's kind of what this purpose is of this video, is to show you what in game is like and like what does this game have to offer. So before we begin, I think it's very important, I want to go over the currencies that Aura Kingdom has. So right upon when you log in and you've got your character, you get these daily rewards, and all these are loyalty point tokens. And I think on Saturdays or whatever it is, the end of the week that week, you get 200, right? And 200 on the weekends, I guess. But anyways, those loyalty points are one of the currencies. If we go into our inventory, our bags, I want to start with the gold because I feel like that's the most common currency that most people are familiar with because it's in every game. Um, Gold is, I guess, how do you get gold, right? You can get gold by selling stuff through to merchants or by killing certain mobs that drop it in like dungeons. You can also sell it to other players or buy from other players with gold. Um, as far as I know, that's the only way to get it, and it's a pretty common game trope to be able to get it that way. So, what are the major things you're going to use gold for, right? And that would be to buy things or sell things to other players, really. There are some merchants that will sell you things for gold. There are certain things you do that cost gold, like fortifying your gear and crafting gear. Talk about that later. But as far as gold goes, that's really the player to player exchange. I'm simplifying it, but I think that's for good reason. Bear with me. So another currency we have is the loyalty points, like I just showed you, um, and that are these. Right now I have 3,581. What are the good ways to get it? Because 200 on a weekend and 100 every day when you log in, that's not a lot. And really, it should be upped. I really think that, a couple thousand on a weekend and 1,000 every day would still be pretty like an all right bonus. It's not broken to do that. I don't know why they're so selfish. Um, but there's not a whole lot of good ways to get it in the game either. You could kill certain bosses that drop, like I know the elite monsters in an area. Sometimes when you turn those in for a quest reward, they give you some loyalty points. I know that certain bosses, the chests they drop afterwards, drop some loyalty points. I know certain quests, like you can do daily quests that give some. But really, the only good way to get loyalty points, besides like Sky Tower, because Sky Tower gives some too, is doing uh, dungeons through instance matchmaking. And to do that, you have to come through instance matchmaking. You want to uncheck level appropriate areas if you're level 70. And really, you just want to join matchmaking. And this tells you the queue size. I don't know why time left is 102, but I don't understand this portion at all. But queue size, usually the higher it is, the more people are there. So 6 person in this queue. All these dungeons are 5-man dungeons. So that means there's a 4 person and a 2 person or 2 3 people. Once it hits 5 people, that dungeon will pop. Okay, and everybody will be transported inside. So when you do it, you'll when you join an instance matchmaking and join the instance with the other players, once you are once your party and you have finished the dungeon, and it doesn't matter if you've touched the boss, you will get this a mail sent to you from the devs, or I don't know. It's just like a automated thing that contains a reward. I think it's as low as 50 loyalty points and up to 1,000. And I have gotten 1,000 before. I think it's 50, 100, 150, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, and 1,000. But I've gotten 600 quite a few times. I've gotten 100 quite a few times, and I've gotten 1,000 a couple times too. So that's probably the best way. But like I said, world bosses when they spawn, I guess. Sky Tower once a week, and you know sometimes they do quests. Sometimes there's like event in-game rewards and stuff. But there's not a whole lot of good ways to get it. The dungeon matchmaking, as long as that's still a thing when this video releases, you know, like as long as that they don't take that away, that's probably the best way to do it. And I think that's a good way to do it, to be fair, because it does keep the game kind of moving. People need to run those dungeons to get equipment and gold, because the main way you get gold is to sell things to merchants and then, you know, trade with players. But it keeps the game moving. I think that's a good way to do it. Next, we'll talk about the AP store, and then I'll touch back on the LP here in a minute. But we're going to talk about the AP, or as they call it, the AKP store, as well as the GP store, as well as the Ruby coins while we're here. So we'll go ahead and press I for inventory. Just kidding. For item shop. And we're immediately into the modern day cheat codes of enter your credit card number. AP, or AKP as this game calls it, is the in-game, well, not in-game, the credit card cash shop. So if you top up, they give you extra AP in the form of GP, which is, in my opinion, is stupid, but I'm sure there's some kind of law about it that, you know, the bonuses can't be the same currency, so that's what it is. But the GP store is literally just the same thing as the AP store. Besides, I think the limited items are reset here. I think that is the only difference. So like weekly buys 2 left for these rainbow gem things, whereas, you know, 2 here too. But I don't know. So we're gonna come here, right here. Okay, this not special items. These limited items. This is where I think this game is in your face about it is pay to win. Okay, this is not available in the LP store, but this Blessing Weekly card gives you 5% all stats and 5% movement speed. Not too bad, but then we go over here to this Luxury Weekly card, cube, whatever this is, and it gives you 5% penetration, which I don't think this game has any shields yet, but it gives you main weapon damage of another 5%, 10% crit damage, and 10% crit cap. So on top of this, at the bottom of it, it also gives you, you know, extra rainbow coins, loyalty points, and superior treasure charms that you can get every day. And the same thing over here, just in a lesser amount. But pretty upfront, in your face, pay to win. But I don't. You might feel a certain way about it, or a different way. But in my opinion, this game is so far from competitive that it's really all right. Like, nobody cares if you buff yourself up to be, you know, to godhood. Nobody really cares. Yeah, at least I haven't ran into the competitiveness yet. But yeah, if you spend money on this, I guess there's that for you. You can technically pay to win your way. I'm of the opinion that I do spend money on games that I do like, and I had enough fun with this one that I did spend, and I did what they call it top up, and I got these. I think these are really good values. I think this is the game tricking you, and I don't think these are really worth it. Um, I think this, if you make another character, is 100% worth it. This teleport stone. But as far as any of those, maybe this, uh, the backpack and the teleport stone are really, really good. Hello, I just cut because I want to go quickly through the item shop because I feel like there is some things that are worth talking about. So let's start here. Special offers. The game gives you one of these. The loot drop rate on the effect is possibly worth considering, but other than that, I wouldn't even worry about it. Rainbow coin is decent if you like gambling and testing your luck in the Paragon table. Not worth it, no. Worth it, not. What is this? No, 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 no. Backpack's always good. This is really good for the value if you're making another character. No, and the game gives you one of these, so no. Pay to win, but both are pretty decent. For the offer, the Rainbow Gem right here, it's all right. You could probably make your money worth if you're selling AP if you do this. This Advanced Treasure Charm, you can get this. You can get most of this stuff besides these two in the LP shop, and you should probably do that instead of buying it here. But you definitely, these are one of these items that I think is really, really worth talking about. This Advanced Treasure Charm for one day, specific to the one day, not the one boss. These ones are super stupidly good when you run these specific instances here and here. Because these two don't have mobs, so it's just boss rushes, which means these bosses drop more of this. So you definitely want it for these two and these two. This, it doesn't really matter, but for this and this, you definitely want this Advanced Treasure Charm. No, no, and no. Costumes, pretty good. Because once you have your costume, you have it until you change your style. The green ones, not good because just pay the extra bit. And if you don't want to pay at all, go to the LP shop because the LP shop has everything except these limited items. Okay? But these orange ones have stats. So get those. The mounts, the orange ones have better movement speed. I don't know anything about furniture. I know the dies, if you're wondering about dies, if you're a new player and you haven't bought anything, the dies, some of them are more expensive than others. I don't know why. But I think that's premium colors, I guess. I don't know. But the dies, they are costume specific. So you can use all of these dies on the costume and you'll have those dies available forever on that costume. You don't have to undye it or redye it, but you do have to purchase a new dye for every costume you have if you're going to use it for that. Eidolons, the whole game is based around these keys and these fragments. Once you have 10 fragments, you can buy a key with it. So if you buy a key, a full key, you're getting 1 AP off, I guess. The costumes, purely cosmetic. None of them are really worth it. However, in this costume shop, it's not just costumes. Not worth it, not worth it. Not really worth it unless you care about aesthetic. Doesn't, maybe. But these 1-star Eidolon refinements, 2-star, 3-star, and 4-star, they are worth it. Let me show you what that is. So each Eidolon has its specific enhancement, and you can re-roll those stats. So these Muramasa is like real big into PvP. Like it was just PvP damage 1, 2, 3, and 4%. I don't have any use for that because I don't do PvP. But I re-rolled HP, which is not a great stat for combat, but you know, I can get up to 50 HP here. 5, 10, 15, and 20. I think that's 50. 20, 40, 50. Yeah. So, yeah. I need to get these 4-star enhancements, and that is something here. The costumes themselves, purely cosmetic. The pets themselves are worthless, but you can use an item to re-roll pet stats. So once you do have that item, the pets are actually decent. No, 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 no. Actually, let me go back. I've heard these universal ones have like 10 times the chance of actually fortifying your gear. So if you so choose, it takes a 2% enchantment rate or success rate to a 20%. I've not bought these, so I cannot verify that with 100% certainty, but that is what I've been told. So maybe, maybe, maybe. No, no, no. Maybe and maybe. I don't think these are real worth it. This pet one, like I said, you can use it to re-roll your bonuses to that. But a lot of this, I don't think is worth a whole lot of that. So transformation tools, they're all decent, but they cost a lot. So like these stats are by far the best you can get, but they cost the most. And you can get these in the LP store. Like I said, you can get everything in the LP store. They just cost a lot. A lot, a lot. Backpacks are good. There's cheaper and discounted ones in the bundles and the limited items. But maybe not limited items. The hot items and but I don't know. You can get them in the here it is. The hot items. There you go. But the backpacks are good. The fishing gear is not good. Don't do it. You can get better fishing gear pretty early on, unless like you really just care about it. But I have 2 sets that give me damage versus the HP. I don't know. All of the crafting material is not worth it. They don't even have level 70 crafting in here, which for 3 AP, specific level 70 crafting gear drops so low that I could see some people being willing to do it, but no. Item recovery, character recovery, if you find yourself in one of those situations, there you go. This is not worth it when you could just buy the Gaia weapon themselves. Don't know why that's there. Character rename, if you want. This advanced Gaia legacy box I don't think is worth it because the whole gimmick there is you can get blue gear that scales up with you until level 75, but you don't want blue gear with you till 75 because it's bad gear. Also, this outfit XP bonus of 30%, you can get 30% XP pretty easily with stuff you get in game that doesn't really matter. These Gaia and Aura weapons are 100% weapon, 100% worth it because of the way they work. They scale with you until level 75, and they're very cheap to fortify. I think they cost like 90 some silver, so it's very cheap compared to like the 670 some silver that other weapons cost. The teleport stones, I think if you buy that in the limited items, it's better because I think it's like 9 AP instead of 29. But these are really nice to have when you're leveling a character. Or Kingdom's leveling is just going back and forth and back and forth. But if you just level into the point where you get to dungeons, you could dungeon your way up to 70. You would just miss out on some quests and some quest rewards, I guess. XP cards, not worth it. Mastery Pass, I really don't think is worth it, but I could see some people, you know, you earn a lot of mastery when you do dungeons, especially if you can't really clear the mobs. Your party, if they clear the mobs, you're still going to get mastery. It's kind of dumb how it works. Megaphones, if you want to span the world chat or ask questions and make people look at your chat. Feather revivals, I think, can be nice if you die in a hard raid, as long as you're not using them all the time. I've got like 6 in my inventory. No. Yes. So the thing with the super treasure charms is they're only good against one boss. But you can use these in Sky Tower, and you can only do Sky Tower once a week. So making the Sky Tower bosses drop 5 extra treasures, you could potentially get you could shorten the duration of a farm by, you know, months if you use these. Warehouse cards, kind of nice, but just clear your inventory before you go on a dungeon raid. Auction card, I don't think there's ever a use for this. At least with the grocery card, you can sell things directly to the merchant. Say you're in the middle of a run, you don't want to. Your warehouse is full, but you just got a bunch of stuff to sell, and you have it clogged in your inventory. There's at least a purpose for the grocery card, you know. As far as these fruits, they're used to craft, and I don't think any crafting material is worth spending money on, but maybe people have really good effects. I haven't gotten to too much of like the consumable crafting yet. The game gives you quite a few of these. I don't think you should need it, but I would, if you do, I'd just buy it in the loyalty shop. Same thing with here. I think the game gives you 1 or 2. Just use the one they give you and buy it in the loyalty shop. These, you could just run these Eidolon instances, and they give you the lower tier versions of these. I don't think these are worth it. These enhancement cards are 100% worth it. However, you need to use them on, or you can get cards that drop in the game, and you want to use a card to enhance your gear or your costumes. So before you just go ahead and how this works is it says weapon skill level. So if you go into your mastery, that would make all of these +1 and all of these +1. And if you get 5, that's all of these +5 and all of these +5, which is really good because it makes the effects that much greater of each one of them. And but there's specific cards that maybe enhance one particular skill, so you'd want to use that on that card to enhance your gear with, so, or your costumes with. GP store is the same, like I said earlier. The limited items are different cooldowns, but other than that, it's the same. As well as this being different cooldowns too. So, but the main difference between the LP shop and the AP shop, I'm just going to call it the AP shop, is that these have a little more pay to win here, right here. So, yeah. And then for our final currency, the Dragon Point store. So the Dragon Point store is a really cool system that Aura Kingdom Impact did that I really, really, really wish other games did. Um, Basically, you go into this adventure encyclopedia up here by your map compass thing, and you can click anything. So weapons, armor, accessories, eidolon, mastery, secret stones, special items, and awakening stuff. I think I don't know. I don't know what this tab is, but yeah. Here's these cards I was talking about earlier. So these are unenchanted, so you can use those cards in the item shop to enchant these cards that will give you, you can enchant your costumes with. So you can take a +5 skill into a +10 skill. So pretty solid. But what I mainly use it for is two things. Is you can check uh, what the crafting materials are before you get the recipe. So you could go ahead and pre-craft your cores for your crafting set, and then make sure you hold on to a one of the weapons. Although if you delete it, you can usually find it in the auction house pretty cheap. It's still nice to just hold on to it. As well as you come here for every piece of gear that you can craft, and yeah. It'll also tell you where to find specific gear. So you can obtain the unidentified mysterious cloak by defeating Duke of Beyond, Talon, in Ghostweed Cave in Oblatus Wood. So it kind of is nice to be able to find what you're looking for. So that's that. I don't believe you can actually buy keys here. No, you just turn a non-tradable. You turn a tradable key frag into a non-tradable. What the? Yeah, I had no idea. Huh. I wonder what. Yeah, same thing here. Eidolon accessories show you how to craft that. I don't know what it is about turning everything into non-tradable versions. That's kind of weird, bizarre. Uh, you can find the secret stone effects, but you can just buy those from the secret store place. Well, I guess that's all it tells you. You can't actually buy it because it just is telling you where to find it. Oh, you can buy these two, huh? Interesting. Huh. Anyways, what I mainly use it for is to check the gear to craft and here the masteries, and you can go attack, defense, tactical, guardian, all the class specific ones. Okay, deciding class. Deciding class is what they call the floating cannon. Uh, yeah. So like I just spent and got my, and you could buy masteries through the auction house. So definitely check it before you buy from the Adventure Encyclopedia, because you get a lot of dragon points when you play the game. But I've got the orange tier. I had to buy the green one through here, but the auction house had the orange one for like 80 some gold. So yeah, so I just went ahead and bought it there. And you can buy all these different ones. In particular, Zeal is always a really sought after one. You can buy it, and you can buy the. It requires the Sky Tower sigil, but 10,000 dragon points, and as long as you have 2 Sky Tower sigils, you buy Zeal, which is 90% extra damage. But yeah, that's mainly what I use the dragon points for. How do you get dragon points? That's a great question. You get them from every time you go into a dungeon and you fight a boss. At least in the equipment tab. I haven't really tried it with the fortification of the Eidolon. I hadn't paid attention. Usually there's like a little red letter. So like hoping I had somebody online. Um, Little red letters around here in your screen that'll tell you acquired dragon points. And that'll, I think, what is it? I think these drop like 13 dragon points per boss, and then I know as you go up, it scales more. So it'll become like 20-ish here or here-ish. And, that's 60 if you kill 3 bosses, 60 dragon points per run. And then the chest that spawns after the 3rd boss guaranteed, but can spawn a chest on the 1st boss, can spawn a chest on the 2nd boss, and can actually spawn a 2nd chest on the 3rd boss. All of those can drop loyalty points, dragon points, and XP books. So that's another way to get it. I think certain quests, like if you hunt certain monsters in the open world and then turn them into the guard, I think you can get dragon points that way as well as loyalty points. Yeah, I think it's just mainly bosses and stuff like that is how you get the dragon points. But it's a pretty, I think it's a pretty good currency. I like the fact that you can buy things that are evading you. Even if I remember playing an MMO, and this is kind of getting off topic. I remember playing an MMO, and I had run this dungeon 300 times, which, if you played an MMO, it's a lot, but it's also not a lot compared to some people. But I'd run this dungeon 300 times for a chance to drop the recipe for crafting, not even the piece of gear that I need, just the ability to craft it, And somebody who wasn't my class took that recipe. I was like, I was so mad. And this kind of has a fail-safe in it where you can get it. So I wish there was, at least I haven't seen it. I wish there was a way to get the recipes themselves from, and maybe there is, but it evades me to this day. I really wish there was a way to get the actual recipe to drop guaranteed, because usually you can find them all the time in the auction house. But and I know that the Night Blacksmith, she actually does sell the weapons and the core recipes. Like you can buy, if I go to level 70, well, or 60 probably work too, but you can actually buy the weapons themselves, but you can't buy the armor. I wish the Dragon Points Adventure Encyclopedia had that in there for it, but other than that, it's been a great system, I think. Yeah. All right, another cut. Earlier I'd mentioned something about this Advanced Gaia Legacy box and the fact that it's blue armor that scales with you to level 75, but it gives you 30% XP. And I said blue armor is not great, and you can get the XP in other ways. I wanted to just quickly note on a couple things. You can get the treasure-seeking wolf weave headdress through a quest at level 18. The treasure-seeking wolf weave coat at level 16. The treasure-seeking barbed belt at level 32. The treasure-seeking armadillo gauntlets at 24. Treasure-seeking armadillo greaves at 23. And the treasure-seeking armadillo tooth necklace at level 21. And there might have been other gear that I've thrown out, but I know at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pieces. You get the XP bonus of 5% times 6 is 30%. So it is just as viable as running that as buying the Advanced Gaia set in the item shop, because you actually get an extra, 4% times 6 is, was it 24% of item drops. And you could feasibly actually run dungeons in game with that, as long, I wouldn't run, here I'll show you which ones you could probably get away with. probably all the way down to Candio Core, you could probably get away with legitimately. If you have Duelist as a subclass, you have an extra iframe on probably like a 10 to 15-second cooldown. And if you have it as a main class, less than that. That extra iframe goes a long ways. And as long as you're not dying constantly, you're good. You're golden. And Candy Core, probably the highest difficulty I would do. I wouldn't go Wrathborn just because there's so many things that hit you. But yeah, I would seriously just run those blue equipments, even though there's going to be more equipment that increases your damage as well as increases your survivability. If you have a good weapon, even just this standard advanced aura or advanced Gaia weapon, it'll be good enough. Really, honestly, truly, I promise. So you started the game, and all you're able to do is the main quest, and honestly, that's probably what you should do. There's not a whole lot of content if you try to do other things besides the quest, and I don't even think you can leave the island until you're at least level 10 or whatever, but or the town, I guess. It's not an island. But yeah, you just do the main quest. At level 25 or 28 or something, uh, it'll drop you off, and you won't have enough experience to do the next quest. It'll tell you hit level 30, I think it is, before you can advance the main quest any further. So to get there, what you want to do is you want to press Y or J. Whoop, J, not H. And you want to go to instance matchmaking, and you always want to do this Alabaster Temple. Doing it will give you a lot of experience. It'll give you equipment. It'll give you mastery if you've unlocked it. Stuff like that. Just fighting in the dungeon will give you all that stuff. It'll also give you rewards. The problem you're probably going to face low level is actually keeping up with the other players, because a lot of in-game players just have a ton of movement speed because the game's kind of grindy and you got to walk a lot. For other reasons too, but yeah, you want to hit the boss once. That's all you gotta do. And some players will wait for the team to be able to touch the boss, and some won't. They'll just rush through it. They don't care. But you want to try to keep up. So just run to the boss. You'll figure out where they're at. You want to hit them at least one time. There's 3 bosses in every dungeon that I'm aware of. Maybe there's some higher levels that haven't released yet, but as far as I know, there's 3 bosses in every dungeon besides specific ones like it's not in there. Besides like Eidolon instances where you fight one, but yeah. So you'll have 3 bosses, and each boss can spawn a secondary or a chest, right? And the last boss always spawns 1 chest, but it can spawn 2. Inside those chests are just a little bit of dragon points, usually some experience books, and some loyalty points. So I've seen a lot of players skip them because they're kind of a rare drop and they're just rushing through. But kind of pay attention. If you're getting carried in a run and they skip it, you might as well skip it too. It's worth it, but it's not worth missing out on the other stuff. So, and if they're carrying you, you're going to get left behind. You're going to miss out on the other stuff. But after that, you'll have 2 options. You'll be able to either go on the main quest, because at that point in time you should be leveled up enough to continue the main quest, or you could just continue to run dungeons all the way up until level 70. And either way is viable. I suggest doing the questing, specifically the main quest that gives you the access to the subclass. If you press K, Once you have access to a subclass, you can also change your current class. And I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that the secondary class is this, like you have access to all the skills at a lower level, but not the envoy path. And I believe the cooldowns of all the skills are doubled. So maybe it's tripled because that's 3 seconds and this is, you know, almost 9. But yeah, I know the cooldowns are raised. So if you're looking for more damage, you might find it in your subclass, but you're not gonna be able to spam it like you would if that was like your primary, because they do have increased cooldowns. So and it will be a little less levels of that skill, so it'll actually do a little bit less damage. So just keep that in mind. I think the ones that stand out to me for a subclass is the Duelist, which I have for the iframe. I think the iframe is really valuable because it is the only class that has it. There's a lot of red carpets that you can dodge with it. The Bard, and this is probably the most popular class, and it probably will be a very popular class because not only does it heal you, it can buff your damage as well. And I believe they're taking out Aura Kingdom. The original Aura Kingdom has what they call nocturnal weapons, which are just, you know, spell vamp or lifesteal effects on the weapons. And I believe they want to get rid of that or mitigate that effect and make it less prevalent as it was in the original Aura Kingdom. So if they do that, players aren't going to be able to just bash the enemy and heal themselves. They'll have to actually get healed. So the value of a Bard in your party becomes pretty high, but if you can subclass into Bard, you'll be alright. So Bard for the heals. It also has a AoE stun, I think is worth mentioning there. So that's also pretty decent. And then Wizard. Wizard has a nice debuff remover, and it's 60-second cooldown, so it's pretty high. But you shouldn't be getting debuffed so much, but it is there, and it's nice to have, when you need to just tap a debuff or get rid of it. But yeah, also one thing I forgot to mention was I said that you have access to all the same skills. That's kind of a lie, because with mastery you actually gain an additional skill of that class, so you won't have access to the mastery as well. So this Phoenix Rising skill, which isn't on my bar, which is this giant, massive heal. Which wrong? Wrong one. Massive heal isn't available if you have Bard as a secondary class. Also, you do lose access to the specific envoy path of Duelist, and I will show you here in just a second. I have Bard set up for treasure hunting, so I can get extra loot and stuff, but I think it's important to note that there are pretty decent master or envoy paths that will change how little minute details in how the class is played. Like, I know Wizard has some paths that go to specific elements that they won't have access to if you're playing Wizard as a subclass. But anyways, let me show you how to switch the weapons. So if I wanted to go as a primary to be Duelist, I can't do it. So I have to change my sub-weapon first. And then I can go into my main weapon and switch as a Duelist. And you'll notice now my envoy path matches what I had set up for my Duelist. And yeah, so in regular Aura Kingdom, all you were able to do is change your subclass every 10 minutes. There is no such cooldown restriction to Aura Kingdom Impact, so you can do it as much as you want. So feel free to try all of the classes and some classes out. I personally, like I said, I really like the Duelist as a subclass for the extra iframe. There isn't a real big need for it, but it has been really nice to be able to just go ahead and use it. But yeah, so after you have access to the subclass, you can change your weapon and your sub weapon at any point in time in the game, and then feel free to continue all the way up to level 70 that way if you so desire. So what do you want to do, or what do you do at in game? And there's a lot of different answers, and I'm gonna kind of dumb it down. I think give you the short and sweet, and yeah, you're gonna be running dungeons, and it'll be specifically the equipment instances, the Eidolon instances, and the fortification instances. All three of these things, this one's going to make you gold. You're going to get all the stuff from it. And besides what's your level and the current level patch, you're going to be selling everything, right? So all this, this, all the way down until what is your level. You're going to be selling everything. And then you're going to look at the gear that you get and the materials you get and see if that's worth anything. And a lot of times it is. Like, people will buy materials for, um, a gold or 500 silver, or sometimes when like the patch first drops, some people spend 15, 20, 30 gold on a single material. So you definitely want to be aware of the market. Just look at the auction house and see what prices for stuff is going for. And if you get like a really rare drop that somebody really wants, as long as you can use it in the current patch, you might have gotten something that's worth 80 gold or 4,000 gold, depending on what drops. Probably not from here. Probably more these two, or this one in particular. But this is going to be your primary gold, where you make your gold, is your equipment instances. At lower levels, you're not going to notice too much. You'll still make some gold here. It's more these mid-level ones that you're going to make your gold. For your Eidolon instances, this is where you're going to be able to level up your main Eidolons. Like if I go into my Eidolon, she is actually, just click on her. She's level 66. She can go up all the way to level 99. I think most Eidolons, until you resonate with them or whatever, I think the level cap's 60 or 65 or something like that. But it's a better idea to spread out your leveling anyways. I don't know. Like I said, I'm pretty new to the game, and I made the rookie mistake of putting all my resources into one Eidolon. But yeah. But anyways, this is where you're gonna get all your stuff. At higher level drops, it'll drop better stuff. They'll also have tiered boxes, so these Eidolon key fragment boxes will give you different Eidolons, which is great. These mysterious armor emblem sets, they're what you're going to be using for wrong one, to unlock this, because once they hit those damage or crit, speed, HP, defensive, and invasive caps, that's what's going to let me get that fourth star to affect my stats. So you want to do that for all of it. And then it also increases your Eidolon point score. So if you look, it says Eidolon points, and that directly correlates to what you can equip here. And you can find that in the auction house. And then we go over to this fortification instances. Fortification is a pain, like a royal pain. The first 10 levels are pretty easy. They give you like a 20% chance to upgrade, and after that first 10%, it is or first plus 10, it's like 2% chance to upgrade your gear. And it does have a failsafe. It doesn't take away your levels like some games, but it does take a while to do. And each one of these drops these. So earlier I said in the item shop, this AKP, GP, and LP store, they all have these advanced treasure charms. So for one day, you can get 3 extra treasures after killing a boss monster. This is phenomenal, and if you notice, I have one on right now. You can actually stack it in such a way, because it lasts for 24 hours. You can actually stack it in such a way that you can get, if you buy one of them, you can get, depending on if you stack it and run your dungeons accordingly, you can actually run 2 days worth of dungeons in that 24 hours, and you get double your bang for your buck. Pretty solid there. Like I said, you always want that effect active, and you always want to run those 3 dungeons. For the equipment instances, it will only affect the bosses, because that's all it does is affect the boss drops. But the reason I make such a profit in particular is because I have all these treasure seeking effects. So this is 40% extra loot, plus my envoy path of 8%, plus my mastery of 20%. So 68% extra loot. Then I have this that gives me the extra loot drop 15%. So 68 plus 15 is 83%. Yeah, 83% extra loot, and I make a killing off it. And then I get this advanced treasure charm that gives me the extra bosses, drops it. But yeah, it's highly recommend the loot drop. I think people sleep on it in this game in particular. All right, another cut because I got off on a bit of a tangent there. So what else is there to do at level 70 besides just those 3 dungeons? And surprise, surprise, more dungeons. You could do the Demon Lord's treasure maps, which are also called the Dragons. You'll see a lot of it posted in the recruitment section. And these drop some high level stuff. Particular, I think people go for the Secret Stone drop and the Sky Dragon King's symbol. But I know this usually makes somebody's day if they get that Secret Stone. Yeah. And then the Abyss content, which I believe, at least if it's still the same from Aura Kingdom, I ran it a couple times yesterday, but I wasn't really paying attention. It lowers your stats significantly to the point where, say, you know, you had capped out speed or capped out crit or capped out defense or evasion, it would uncap it. Like, it would reduce those stats. So it's arbitrarily hard. But they these drop, I think, keys of that specific Eidolon, and I believe Zahir's actually pretty good. I think he's just damage oriented, if I remember correctly. Let me look. Yeah, damage 2, damage 4, damage 6, and damage 8. And then I believe his skills are even damage oriented. Stunned, damage, and damage. And then combo skill, stun. Pretty solid Eidolon that you can get for free if you run that dungeon. And then I can't remember what the other one is. Is Nezredin? Yeah, what? I don't think I have him yet, anyways. Not as good. Ice damage taken. Can't check them out though. But yeah, you could run those dungeons. Also, once a week, they have Sky Tower. most large guilds have their own sky tower, and then other people apply to it. Also, I know some top parties tend to make a raid and then fill in spots if somebody can't. I remember in the original Aura Kingdom, I had to download TeamSpeak, which I don't think anybody uses TeamSpeak anymore. I think it's all Discord. But I remember having to download TeamSpeak to even join the Sky Tower raid. So, all right, last cut I think for the video ends. So, what else is there to do in Aura Kingdom? And I wanted to touch on a couple things. One, and I think I should say this before I forget about it, is it's really important, is you need to interact with the community at some point, because you're going to be missing out on some content you probably will never see. The game has world bosses, and those bosses have a specific timer. And those bosses are farmed on timer. So if unless you just get really lucky in an area that you probably would never be in anyways, you'll never see these world bosses. And these world bosses, they give out loyalty points, and sometimes they give out gear, they give out achievements. So mainly I think it's the loyalty points people go for, because I've heard they give out quite a bit. I used to go to them when I could, when I played it the first time, the original Aura Kingdom. So I think the world bosses are definitely something that if you can make it and it lines up with your schedule, I wouldn't like lose sleep over it or anything. But I feel like you should probably try to experience it at least once, see what it's about, because there's quite a few, and some of them are pretty interesting. But like I said, they're farmed on spawn basically. So, and then there is your in-game grinds. So, or your in-game grinds, your in-game hobbies, I guess. So if we go in our character stuff, we can see our fishing gear, and you could fish. You could be an archaeologist. I don't know anybody who does this. You could gather things, which you kind of do passively, and you could be a cook. So all of my fishing gear has actually came from the Nezarin spawn. And the ads that spawn before him all drop fish for whatever reason. And when you open fish, you can get fishing gear, as well as like experience crystals, and just a bunch of little different things. Nothing crazy, but you know, it's nice. But most people, when they fish, they just AFK fish. So they buy as much bait as they can. I think 999 or 9,999, one of those two, and they start to fish, and then they just walk away from the computer, and it farms slower. You can't catch the better ones and whatever, but it's a process, and you will make a profit if you sell everything, but it's not like a great profit. You know, you spend 5 gold, you make 6. You know, it's not anything crazy, but it is something. And the gear can be pretty decent too. Like this one increases damage. With all my set, you know, it gives me about 1,000 damage, a little over. Pretty decent. Fishing is pretty viable. Like I said, archaeology, I have no idea. Gathering, I think you just, if you see like a Navia herb or something, you just collect it, because you can use it for cooking. And cooking is, from everything I've seen, very profitable, because I know in particular there's a couple cooking effects that I've seen on other people that are great. Like there's one that has triple cast on it, which is, if what it sounds like is what it implies, when you cast an ability, that ability goes off 3 times. So imagine, you know, a great damage skill that you just use that has a long cooldown that just hit for three times, or just went off 3 times. Pretty decent, I think. From what I understand, the knives are really good. What it does is it slows down the mini game that is associated with it. I don't know about these other two, but I do know there's a mini game associated with it. Also, there's other systems, like some NPCs will have this card duel, and trust me, I'm not any good at the card duels. I have never done it, but I do know that if you exit out of it, you can get received card experience, which, you see it? Received card experience. And I didn't even do anything. So I don't know if that's a bug or whatnot, but I know certain NPCs you can have a card battle with, and I've done it a couple times, but I never really liked the card systems in any game, so I really haven't tried it out, and maybe that's to my detriment. But yeah, just received experience and some cards, and I know if I go into my card system, I can fortify cards with other cards. Ta-da! And now that card is stronger. So there's that system. I know over here there's an alchemy system that I haven't ever messed with alchemy, but I've seen some of the stuff you can get from it, and some of them are pretty decent, like loyalty points. I don't have the gold to make it, but you can make loyalty points pretty decent. You can make damage to storm targets plus 10% for 20 minutes. You know, all these different effects. Removes one negative status, which is the whole reason I would get a, wizard as a subclass is pretty decent. Eidolon energy crystal. I mean, you can farm a ton of those. Max HP plus 1450 for 2 minutes. You know, like some of these are actually pretty decent, but I haven't messed with it because it gives me something to do when I run out of things to do. Alright, last cut, and we'll be done with this video. I just wanted to mention just a couple more systems that I'm aware of. I know if you're in a guild, you have access to the guild hall. And the guild hall has quite a bit of merchants in it that you're able to interact with, and your guild master or guild leader can actually go ahead and buy specific merchants or things for the guild that will enhance things that your guild can do in your guild hall. One of the things I used to do when I was in a guild in 2014 playing the original Aura Kingdom is we would actually go to the guild hall bank, which is right here. Or it wasn't really the guild hall bank, but it'd be our warehouse, and we would pull it out all these summoning stones for these you summon these, and then if you fight them, they have a chance to drop their key fragments. And at least in the original Aura Kingdom, we were not only just able to summon them in the Temple of Eidolons, we were able to summon them here in the guild hall as well, and so that everybody in our guild had a chance to get the key fragment drops from them. And it was pretty cool. I know that the guild master can actually buy a buff that buffs everybody's experience and I think loot. I'm not 100% sure on that. Effects from running dungeons and stuff, and usually they pop it right before Sky Tower. But your guild has to contribute to that. Which is usually, the leaders usually pretty much contribute to that, and then the players just kind of sit there and enjoy it. But it's still pretty cool to be in a guild and enjoy the buffs of that. I don't believe guilds really make or break the game, but it's definitely nice to be able to, like, these are all the things they can rent. It's still nice to be able to enjoy some of the perks of being in a guild, and when they go to pop it and have people run with, and it's really nice. Another thing I want to show you, and I guess I probably have to leave the guild hall to do it, but it has a housing system, and you can enter your house or your state. And in this housing system, they have like farming land. I think you can like plant uh, things you've gathered, so that way you can have that for your recipe. So I believe they have like mining things too. So yeah, and I know they have some stuff in the item shop for it. I think that's interesting to be able to get into. You have a fishing spot. But the game has quite a bit of interesting mechanics in it. And I think one more thing I should mention before I end the video is that I know that there is a marriage system in the game. I'm not 100% sure on it. I don't tend to really interact with marriage systems in any game or MMO or anything like that, but I do know it exists. And I'm interested to see if there's what they've done with it, because I know some games they give you specific buffs for being able to run with one person in particular, or a friend buff or something like that. And it would be interesting to see what the perks or benefits, or if there even is any. I don't know if like even polygamy is as frowned upon in the real world. I think it's a little different bit of an opinion when it comes to gaming, because usually you just run it with friends anyways. I'm curious to see what entails. I know the game is kind of based around like a pope or a central pope figure, so it doesn't really surprise me that the game has marriages. And I know there are children classes in the game, so I have no idea if you have to be like one of the adult classes to be married. It would be a little weird if the children were able to get married, but I do know that marriage ends in the game. And lastly, I guess, let me show you while I'm here, is the stall. So I wanted to show you something while I'm here. Is the stall in the auction house. So when you set up a stall, you can hit sell, and you can list this for as much as you want. 30,000 gold. Add to stall. You could sell this for 1 silver. Add to stall. And we hit start selling. But it's not going to let me start selling yet because I'm on a mount. So what you need to do is, and you can change this too, so turn it into a smiley face. Start selling. And yeah, that allows you to set up a stall. Now as far as the auction house goes, and I wanted to show you this really quick before I end the video. There's so many interactions and stuff. I know the auction can be a little bit finicky. So if we look up stalwart, it says the auction item doesn't exist. But if we look up stalwart with a capital S, you'll get plenty. And if we want to get rid of these level 50s, we can change this to 65 and hit search, and it should fix it. Sometimes you'll have to come to a different tab and for it to like update, because sometimes it doesn't just update like it's supposed to. So but I think get into these cooking effects. I think 10% chance to triple cast for 6 hours. I don't know if this lasts in game or out of game, but some of these are really good and strong effects. So, and 56 gold for 10 of them. So that's 5.5 gold basically for one of them. It's pretty decent for that much damage, that much crit, and 10% triple cast. Pretty decent. And I don't know if food and drink are separate, but I know there are lots of systems, and that's kind of what I want to end the video on. get involved with the community. If you are looking to get anything out of this game, get involved in the community, get involved in the questions, get involved in the professions. There is a lot of content in this game, and it's unfortunate that the game doesn't really do anything, but to kind of bring that to life. You know, it gives you maybe a simple quest that crafts you something that doesn't do anything for you. You know, but there are really good effects in this game. It just they're hidden. You know, you gotta peek behind the veil. So I've spent way more time on this video than I've intended to. I really do think this is a great game, and I think more people should try it out. You guys have a wonderful day.